Hey party people, welcome back to MVM. Welcome to 2024. I finally get to show you a game, new games. I love to show new games, and particularly this one because I've been looking for this game forever. It's been well over a year. And if you know me, I like to find small games from across the pond. I typically seek these games out. People don't even know what the heck they are. I got another channel, Legion Games, that does this too. We have these small love for abstracts and small games, and this is one of them. Wasn't available in English for a long time until now. Drawn to Games is bringing this to markets for English on crowdfunding, and it's on a Monday, so really pay attention to this preview because it's before Tuesday. So this is Explorers of Navoria, and you're probably thinking, why did you want this game? Well, I'll talk about that over the preview and try to leave my opinion out of it. Of course, I don't do previews for games I don't like, so there you go with that. This is a 2 to 4 player game. I believe there's going to be a solo mode and an expansion. I'm just going to leave that detail there. It's open to a solo, and there will be an expansion possibly. So just keep that in mind. 2 to 4 player game, and it plays just over 60 minutes. Just over 60 minutes, or a little bit less than 60 minutes, depending on player count. And in this game, you are basically drafting cards. You're drafting these cards and adding them to your tableau, and you're scoring them, you're set collecting, you're doing these things, but you're also contributing to actions that you can take after you draft the cards, and these tokens that you're placing will be used to take other actions in between your income rounds and stuff like that. It's a really tricky game. You kind of don't see the elements of strategy until you start playing, and you go, oh my God, I could have scored more, I could have done more. That's exactly what this game is going to do. More than meets the eye. I can tell you every person I played with was like, this is actually a lot more than I thought. So let's go ahead and show you what I was thinking about or what I was looking forward to. All right. So as you can see here on the board here, it's got lots of color, okay? Lots of color, and it has some artwork that you may be familiar with. No, it is not the same artist from Root. It does have some of that Root look to it, but it is definitely different, okay? It doesn't have any of those vibes or nothing like that. It doesn't play anything like that. This is not an asymmetrical card game. What you're doing in this game is you're going to have a bag of tokens. Those tokens will represent these cards up here. These cards, these different types of cards that come in a deck. There'll be three from each deck during each round. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking tokens out of this thing here. So you'll either, on your turn, you'll be taking 2 tokens out of here, or if there's already a token in here, you can choose to take that action. When you take 2 tokens out, if you're doing that action, you choose between these 2 tokens, and one stays, okay, and then the other one goes, and it goes on top of the deck. This will come into play later on when we get to the return phase of the game, but right now we're in the recruit phase. And these are the cards that we're recruiting. Each one of them does a different thing, so I'm not going to go into like the full names of them, but you need to know 2 things. Each one of these do different things, and they also have icons for the different factions. You're going to be using those factions to set collect because they will unlock some of the scoring that goes on at the end of the game. If you've collected enough of them, if you collected at least 5 of them, you can put a token up here and you can score extra points for the cards that you have in your tableau at the end of the game. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So which one of these cards are we dealing with here? I just drew these out randomly, so I'm just going to walk you through each one. You're trying to add these cards to your tableau because they'll score, they'll add different things. So this one here, these are like they're kind of explorers and whatnot. They're going to give you income at the end of the game during the round. So you want to move on these tracks. There are three tracks in the game. You want to move out as far as possible on them because you're going to score on them each round. And these cards help you do that. So when you take one of these cards here, these purple cards, it's going to allow you to move on one of those areas here. So this is like the glacial area, the desert, and the forest area here. And you're going to be able to move once or twice, and these are all different. You may get crowns, which are points in this game, but you also may move on the mountain. So I'm just going to take the purple, which is the first player, and move once, twice, because it tells me on there. This card gets added to my tableau area here, and we'll place it over there. Now it also gives me one of these face icons. I also have this for scoring in between rounds. It's going to give me a point for how many flags I have passed throughout my entire throughout these 3 regions. So that's just what these do. Then it would move on to the next player. Whatever one is not used, I'm going to put this over here. That would be the turn. I'm going to pull out 2 more randomly and see what I get. I got the same ones. Let's see. All right, so I got these 2 here. I got a green and I have a green. Now, instead of taking these 2 out, I could have just taken this one and moved this over here and took this action. Well, I'm going to show you what the green one does here. The green one helps me gather these resources. I believe they're called the producers. What they're going to do is a combination of things. They're going to maybe give me one of different resources, multiples of different resources, but a combination of resources and coins, or points, I should say. So you're going to be taking one of these cards, and I'm just going to start off a set collection. I'm going to take this here. Let's see what I got over there. I need an apple. So here we go. We're going to show you what this looks like here. So I always want to take green because it's going to do several things. I have missions on my board here. On each board, there are different little missions you have to fulfill and gather resources for. And that's what the producers do. Generally, they're going to give you the resources that you need. You have one of each resource. You have the crystal, the apple, and the sword. You have one where you have to collect just 4 resources. And then ones where you have to collect triplets of the same resource, and whatever one you choose. When you fulfill those, you're going to be triggering off these things on your tableau here. So the more of these little pieces you have out there, the more of these that will trigger off, and it will be according to how many of these cards you have. So you could actually have it where it triggers how many green cards you have, plus you get points, plus you get points for every green card you have. So you have multiple things that can multiply and stack up. It's kind of a little trick there if you invest into green cards. So you want to get all the resources you have. So I took this card right here. I would get a point for it. I would also get this crystal, which I can put somewhere. I don't have to put it anywhere right here. But let's say I fulfilled this one right here. I got all the 3 pieces. I return that. And then I get to move on the forest track here, and then I also get a point for every green card I have. I would move up like that. That's basically how this stuff works. You turn it in, and that's what happens. I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what this stuff looks like. You would never have this stuff at the beginning of the game. All right, so let's see. Let's dig in here. Let's see if I can get another blue. All right, so we have our coin here. Okay, actually, let's do this. Instead of that, we're going to take one of these right here and place it on there. That's one of your options. Instead of taking 2 tokens out, you can pull from the city here. And I want to take one of these income-based things here. So these cards reward you based on the factions that you have. So I have these face factions. I don't have anything right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these. And they typically match the face that's on the card. So this says, at the income phase, I will get a point for every one of these crazy little faces that I have here. So I'm probably going to just place this here. That's going to go there. That's how you do it, okay? So place these out. Now we have, and I'm going to use this one here. All right, you're going to have 4 cards at the end of the round. So I'm going to take this one here. I'm looking for the little piggy faces because I want to have something that matches this here. But what do these cards do? They are going to give you points at the end of the game. So they're going to tell you, hey, according to this condition, you're going to have this many points at the end of the game. This one says, how many of these, this one says, how many of the desert pieces do I have off? So I want to make sure I'm pulling all the stuff off the desert, okay? So I want to make sure I have these off because according to how many of those I have off, I get 2 points for each of them that I have available out on there. So that's where we want to make sure we are clearing our board of certain things. But ultimately, I have 3 icons of the same piggy thing. So I only need 2 more of those. Why do I need 2 more of those? Well, I need 2 more of those because I want to make sure I have my faction token out here. So if I put my faction token out here and I fulfill this right here, I can actually be first or second in filling this out. So I'm first, and if I have yellow cards at the end of the game, I'll get 3 points per yellow card I have. And these tokens, by the way, they all can be different. There's plenty of them to mix in. I'm sure if the campaign does well, there'll probably be more things of that nature. But I'm just going to kind of preview that stuff. And that would be the turn. Just for the sake of going through all of these, let's go ahead and pull these 2 out. So then we have these cards here. So we have these buildings here, and that's how you start to pull these off. So you have cards that are going to give you points. They're also going to give you faction pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one because it matches a faction I have. So when I grab this one, I get a point for grabbing this, and then I also get an apple. So this one gives a resource as well. I believe this is one for purple. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you're going to separate these and put them out there, and then you're also going to remove one of these tokens here, and it's going to come off over here. Okay. And I'll show you why that's important. These pieces here. Okay, but typically this is how the turns are going to work. You're going to go through this until you have a total of 4 cards in a 2 to 3 player game. And then we'll get to the end of the round and we move over to the return phase. I'm not going to go through an entire round, but hopefully it gives you an idea. So now we're going to start returning these tokens back. Okay, I'm just going to move this out of the way. We're going to start returning these tokens back to the city here. And when we return them back, we're going to take actions according to, I believe this is out here. And we're going to take actions according to where these tokens were on top of these decks. So like they will stay on top of these decks. There may be 3, there may be 2, there may be none on one of these decks. And that's why it's important to pay attention to what you're drafting, because now we're going to go in reverse turn order and take these tokens and put them on these little action spots matching the color. So like if I place this here, I would get 2 swords. And I'd also be able to move on any of these tracks that I want to. And remember, the goal every round is to be the furthest on here for a reason. We'll get to that. But as you put more tokens of that color on there, the numbers will increase. So you want to pay attention to where those go. Now, you're not going to be pulling anything from here. So you're going to grab this one. Let's say you put it on here, and then you would get to pull off one of these here off your tableau area, off your player board. So you're kind of still doing some work during the game. So it's not just about these cards right now. It's how you continue to build off of them. And this one gives you a resource and allows you to move on any track. A resource allows you to move on any track. One thing I found is that everybody seems to chase this one where you get this off of there. So that's something to pay attention to. But these other ones just give you different resources. This is going to give you a wealth of apples and another resource. This is going to give you a wealth of crystals and another resource. So people are going to be kind of fulfilling their missions and triggering these off because they're going to be fulfilling them as you go along. So now it's important to how your tableau is set up at that point. So there's another comboing opportunity. And then you have this one here that is just straight points. So if you place a blue on here, you're going to get 6 points, then 4, then 2. And then once all of those are in their places, because they will all be off of here, and we'll have filled up this area here in any player game count. They'll be full. It'll be almost full. Then you're going to actually look at your income. So now we're going to go to our income phase, and in the income phase, we're going to start looking at what's out here as well. So how far have we come? But before I do that, I'm going to set some things up here. I'm just going to move this stuff out here. We're going to move that here. We're going to do that here, and we're going to do these 2 like this. We'll do one out here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay. All right. Things of that nature. We'll do that. Okay. So now in the income phase, we're going to be taking a look at how far people have come. I'm going to put this guy all the way out there. All right. Apparently I favor yellow. Maybe I favor yellow. So we're going to be taking a look at our cards. So how many of this type of cards do I have? So I'd be looking at the faction for the furry guys here. And I'd be looking at how many of these cards I have, but also how many of this icon I have. So the more of these cards, they can score, they can stack. So it's important to have multiples of these cards that match your icons that you have in your tableau, because this is actually going to give me a 1 point, 2 points for how many of these icons I have. So the more I have, the better. And this can score multiple times because you're going to have 3 rounds of this stuff. So it's important to pay attention to that. This one here is going to give you per a flag. So you want to make sure you have as many of these per flag, because you're going to be looking at your flags and how far you are on these flags across the entire board, these 3 sections here. So you can get more points because of that. Then you're going to take a look at how far people are in each one of these lands. So we'll be taking a look at who's the furthest. They'll get 3 points. 2 points or 1 point, and this just depends on the player count. So in a 3-player game, you're going to get the first and second place. In a 2-player game, you're going to get the first place. So it's just who's first. Now, this is the interesting part about this area. What's going to happen is all these players are going to move back to wherever they have these houses. So these houses have impact here, and the houses have impact here for scoring the green for filling missions, but it also has impact on how far you reset back. So after we score this, since yellow has no houses, they will go all the way back. Purple will be here, and in future rounds they can get further depending on how many houses. Now it's always capped, so it's not like you can't go, or you can go all the way. You can just go to the first 3 here. That's kind of the idea. And once again, the yellow and the purple will go back here. At the end of these tracks, there are opportunities for scoring as well. So you'll see the scoring here. You'll see like there's 5 points here potentially. There's none here. There's 1 here, and then there's 3 here as well. So you have options for scoring a lot during these rounds. Now, you'll be doing this, you'll be pulling all this stuff back, you'll be pulling everybody back, putting these tokens back in here, but of course, a lot of this will not happen at the end of the game because you're not having to reset. What you're gonna score for are the cards that I talked about. These are gonna be the red cards, and they're gonna score for how many of these tokens you have off your board in each of the sections, and the cards will tell you which ones you represent, one of the 3 areas here, and those cards stack up as well. You'll also, once you have 5 of something, depending on if you have 5 of that icons, I'm just going to give purple this one here. Purple is going to do that. And what they're going to do is they're going to look at, this one says yellow and blue, you get 2 coins, you get 2 points per. So he's going to have the yellow and blue cards where he gets 2 points per. This up here, the yellow player is going to get 3 points per yellow card. So the more of those yellow cards that they have stacked up during the game, they're going to score points for those. That's the game in a nutshell. I've made it seem easy. I've gone through the turns easy, but that's the thing. It's quick. This game is quick, it's smart, and it will make you scratch your head just a little bit so that you can get through a nice strategy game in about 60 minutes, okay? That's all it's doing. It's not trying to blow your mind with it, crazy card. You know, this is not an AP heavy game, but there is strategy, and there's enough smart decisions that you can make, enough interesting decisions you can make. This can be played with a wide range of gamers, and I think it wouldn't waste their time. And I also think it would entertain a nice family or some people who just like to favor a nice quick game that they want to get to the table. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what Explorers Navoria was trying to bring to the market. I chose this game, and I was looking for this game for that reason. It has so much range, and I've played it in different settings with different cores of gamers, and they've all enjoyed it. They've all were kind of surprised, like how easy this game was to get into, but there's just that, I can tell everybody was just like, there's just enough here to keep me excited. There's just enough here that's not over deluxeified. You don't have to have a lot of bling. This is very quick. It's beautiful looking, I can say that. I think the color scheme is awesome. And that's really all you need to know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But with that, party people, I want to thank you for your time. I'll try to answer any questions you have. You guys take care. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me on MVM.